The investigation into former President Trump's handling of classified documents. Sources telling ABC News that a federal judge has ruled Trump's attorney must give more testimony to a grand jury. ABC's Jay O'Brien is in Washington with the latest. Jay, good morning to you.
Wait, good morning to you. All of these proceedings are secret. They're kept away from public view because they're part of an ongoing federal grand jury investigation. But sources telling ABC News that Evan Corcoran, who's an attorney for former President Trump, has been ordered by a federal judge to give additional testimony to that grand jury, which is investigating classified documents seized by the FBI at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Sources familiar with the matter say that special counsel Jack Smith wants to question Corcoran about the former president's potential efforts to obstruct federal officials from getting those classified documents back.
Ava Johnson here. We need to go over what just took place because a moment like this is unheard of in the 250-year history of this nation. Donald Trump's primary lawyers, the same team he trusted to defend him in a federal case, stood before a judge, took an oath to speak honestly, and then admitted to actions considered federal offenses. It was a surprising and highly unusual courtroom development that caught many off guard. You can watch the full hearing to see it yourself. And stay with us as a detailed analysis will follow later in the video.
And breaking overnight, CNN got word that a key attorney to Donald Trump turned critical witness has left his legal team. Evan Corcoran was hired to help Trump in the classified documents case, but he became a central part of the very indictment because of the meticulous notes and memos he took about his interactions with Trump. The indictment referred to Corcoran as Trump Attorney 1 at least 20 times, and it was from Corcoran's notes and memos that we learned that Trump allegedly misled him about the whereabouts of the classified documents, encouraged him to lie to the Justice Department and withhold these documents allegedly. If the case ever goes to trial, prosecutors could potentially call Corcoran as a key witness. And this morning, we know he is out of the fold. And as Maggie Haberman told us overnight, that is disquieting to Donald Trump.
They stated under oath that they had created counterfeit government seals. They acknowledged placing those fake seals on Epstein-related documents to bypass federal subpoenas. They also claimed they acted on direct instructions from Donald Trump himself. Before they could continue, the judge interrupted, delivering a remark unlike anything ever heard in a case involving a sitting president. This is not leaked information, speculation, or rumor. It unfolded in open court, fully on the record, supported by sworn testimony. What happened in that courtroom stunned everyone present. The judge's response at that pivotal moment in the January 6th investigation could have far-reaching consequences and may significantly reshape how the entire situation is understood moving forward.
Where the Justice Department was pursuing testimony from people as important as Mike Pence. That was Evan Corcoran, the man fighting those battles on the front line as the investigation bore down before Donald Trump was charged. After that, he became the person that the Justice Department compelled to testify. They forced him to come into the grand jury and reveal information, making him a cornerstone witness of this indictment in Florida against Donald Trump. So he had continued on representing Trump in the January 6th probe, but really was the person who witnessed something as significant as when Donald Trump was talking to him about the classified records found and apparently making reference to not wanting those classified records to be turned over.
Counsel had just acknowledged committing serious federal offenses in open court, and the reaction from the bench was immediate and firm. The judge did not hesitate or soften her words. She ordered their removal without delay. But within moments, federal marshals stepped forward, handcuffs ready, as the atmosphere in the courtroom shifted from routine legal procedure to stunned silence. Todd Blanche and Boris Epstein, the attorneys responsible for defending the President of the United States, were restrained and escorted out under guard. From the defense table, Donald Trump erupted, shouting traitors at the very lawyers who had been representing him only minutes earlier. This was not a fictional drama or a scripted legal scene. It was a real moment unfolding in a federal courtroom, witnessed by journalists, legal experts, and officials. To fully understand the weight of what happened, it is important to look beyond the dramatic images and examine how an ordinary hearing turned into something far more consequential. The proceeding had been scheduled as a consolidated session intended to address multiple legal matters at once. These included disputes over financial disclosures, document production, and evidentiary questions tied to ongoing investigation. On the surface, it appeared procedural and controlled. However, the presiding judge had been focused on a separate issue that had raised concerns for months: documents connected to Epstein that had repeatedly been withheld from investigators. Each time subpoenas were issued requesting those records, Trump's legal team provided the same explanation. They claimed the documents were sealed under official authority and could not be released. The files carried seals that appeared authentic, suggesting proper classification. At first glance, there was little reason to question their validity. Judge Beryl Howell began analyzing the seals in detail, comparing them with verified government markings. Subtle differences stood out, details that did not align with official standards. The more she reviewed, the more questions emerged. Eventually, she brought those concerns into the courtroom, directly questioning the attorneys. She asked where the seals originated, who had authorized them, and what legal justification supported their use. Initially, the attorneys responded cautiously, attempting to maintain their position. But under oath, the situation changed. They were bound to tell the truth, with the risk of perjury hanging over every statement. As the judge continued pressing for clear answers, the pressure intensified. Then the defense collapsed. They admitted the seals were not genuine. They acknowledged that the markings had been created artificially to resemble official government authorization. The purpose was not administrative compliance, it was to block subpoenas and prevent the release of sensitive documents. That admission alone was serious, but the testimony went further. The attorneys conceded that they knew their actions were unlawful when they carried them out. This was not a misunderstanding or oversight. It was a deliberate decision. Then came the statement that changed everything. According to their sworn testimony, they had not acted independently. They stated that these actions were taken under direct instruction from Donald Trump. They claimed he had ordered them to do whatever was necessary to keep the Epstein-related files from becoming public. The implication was clear. The effort to conceal the documents was directed from the highest level. The courtroom fell silent. Reporters paused, recognizing the importance of what had just been revealed. Observers sat motionless, processing the magnitude of the. Even Trump appeared briefly stunned, sitting at the defense table without reacting as his own attorneys described actions that directly implicated him. Judge Howell responded with calm authority. Her voice remained steady, but her words carried weight. She outlined the seriousness of the admissions: fabrication of official materials, obstruction of justice, and deception within a federal proceeding. These were not minor violations. They struck at the integrity of the legal system. Her decision was immediate. The attorneys would be removed from the case and taken into custody without delay. There would be no opportunity to leave voluntarily or negotiate terms. Federal marshals acted quickly. Blanche and Epstein stood, possibly expecting to exit on their own terms. Instead, they were restrained on the spot. Handcuffs were secured, and they were turned toward the exit under escort. The visual was striking. Two high-profile attorneys, moments earlier engaged in legal argument, now being led away as detainees. At that point, Trump reacted, rising from his seat, visibly agitated. He began shouting accusations at the departing attorneys. Traitors, he yelled repeatedly. His voice echoing through the courtroom, his outburst drew immediate attention from security personnel and added to the already intense scene. Reporters stood to capture every detail, security staff moved to maintain order, and the weight of what had just happened began to settle over everyone present. This was no longer a routine hearing, it had become a defining moment. The significance of this event extends beyond immediate arrests. For years, Trump had relied on legal teams to navigate complex challenges, often pushing boundaries and expecting others to manage the risks. That strategy appeared to collapse in real time. Instead of shielding him, his attorneys had provided testimony that could now be used against him. The legal consequences are substantial. With his primary attorneys now in custody, Trump faces the challenge of securing new representation. Under such circumstances, finding experienced counsel willing to take on the case may prove difficult. The situation raises serious questions about how his defense will proceed. Equally important is the impact of the testimony itself. Statements made under oath carry significant weight, especially when delivered by individuals directly involved. The admissions regarding fabricated seals and obstruction of justice could influence multiple legal proceedings, strengthening cases already underway. The timing of the event adds another layer of consequence. Political processes already in motion may be affected by this development. Lawmakers reviewing evidence now have access to sworn statements from Trump's own attorneys, potentially altering ongoing deliberations. Beyond the courtroom and political implications, this moment reveals a broader pattern. The deliberate creation of false seals to block subpoenas reflects a calculated approach to managing legal risk, one that prioritizes concealment over transparency. It suggests a willingness to manipulate procedures to achieve a specific outcome. Once revealed, the consequences were immediate. Judge Howell's decision to act without delay underscored the seriousness of the violation. The removal and arrest of the attorneys sent a clear message about accountability and the importance of maintaining the integrity of the legal system. Trump's reaction, marked by anger and accusations, highlights the tension between loyalty and responsibility. While he viewed the situation as betrayal, the testimony suggests a different perspective, one rooted in self-preservation and adherence to legal obligations. This distinction is important. When individuals choose to comply with the law rather than continue unlawful actions, it changes the direction of a case. Their knowledge becomes a powerful factor in establishing accountability and shaping outcomes. Looking ahead, the situation is likely to develop quickly. Legal proceedings will continue, and the testimony already entered into the record will play a central role. Investigations may accelerate, supported by new evidence and first-hand accounts. At the same time, the broader impact will continue to unfold. Public perception, institutional trust, political dynamics are all influenced by moments like this. The image of attorneys being escorted out of a federal courtroom in handcuffs is one that will resonate far beyond the immediate setting. Ultimately, this event represents a turning point. It marks the moment when actions taken behind closed doors were brought into the open under oath. You're watching Ava Johnson. Be sure to subscribe and help us reach 100,000 subscribers, and share your thoughts in the comments below.